City Council of the City of Victorville. And the City Council sitting is the Library Board of Trustees, Southern California Logistics Rail Authority, Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, successor agency to the Victorville Redevelopment Agency, the Victorville Joint Powers Financing Authority, the Victorville Water District, and the city as housing assets successor. May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Kennedy.
Here.
Councilmember McEachron.
Here.
Councilmember Negretti is absent from tonight's meeting. Mayor Pro Tem Cox.
Here.
Mayor Garcia.
Here. This is the time and place for the general public to address the City Council on any item listed or not listed on the agenda. Per Government Code Section 54954.3, state law prohibits the council from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. The council may receive testimony and set the matter to a subsequent meeting. I do see a gentleman sitting here. Dave, comments?
I own a home over in Victorville, and it's really gone downhill. I moved in there in '97, and it really took a dive in the last 5 years, something like that. It's gone close to ghetto, and it's scary. So anyway, thought I'd see if I could bring it to somebody's attention. I've made lots and lots of phone calls to code enforcement and as far as the streets go, to a number of people, and within the last year. And I see Eagle Ranch has gotten done, and I think they're working on Brentwood. And last year they said, well, we're working on Brentwood. We'll get to you folks real soon. I'm just wondering if there's something I can do to hurry the process a little bit. For a lot of years when I was there, when I moved in, it was kind of a bright spot just this side of Eagle Ranch. And every yard was manicured, and code enforcement came through 2-3 times a week at least. And if your car was uncovered and it had a dented fender, it would wind up having a cover on it or be cited for it. None of that happens anymore. Now we've got broken cars. Some people moved into me 4 months ago, and they're running a car repair business out of it. Driveway, 4 cars a day are going in and out. This is really getting out of hand. And I'm not sure. I've called code enforcement. I'm not sure exactly where I should go or what I should do, including the street. The streets are just, if you're familiar with the area, Mount Baldy Drive in San Gorgonio, there's just big cracks in the street. Some guy, I guess, on the next block tried to grow corn out of it and managed to do it out of it in the cracks. This has gotten really bad. I'm wondering if anything is going to happen anytime soon. I'm supposed to do something?
Sure. One of the announcements that the mayor made was that they're prohibited from responding to something that's not on the agenda.
Gotcha.
However, we've got your name and address. I'm the city manager. I'll make sure that someone's in contact with you tomorrow on some of these issues.
Okay, that's it. I have pictures and things, but I guess not, huh? Not necessary?
Not at this point, no. Not at the public meeting, no.
Don't throw them away.
Yeah, don't throw them away.
Hold on.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay, well, is it okay if I come back and see you folks next session, that sort of thing? And maybe, does that make any difference or not? I mean, is it worth my effort to?
Can't go into a discussion because if it was on the agenda.
Sure. No, I can follow that. It's just a question of where I go. I'd like a little direction if I can.
Right.
I'm getting that tomorrow with any luck at all. I mean, I'm sure we'll.
Right.
Care about what you say, and the city manager contact you, and then that dialogue will continue. Back to us, we may talk again.
Terrific. We're headed in the right direction then.
Yes,
Thank you all.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you are.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you very much. I don't have any other cards, and I don't see anyone else in the audience. Therefore, can we have declaration of closed session items by our city attorney?
Thank you, Mayor Garcia. We have 6 listed items this evening for closed session, 5 of which are existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 D1. Item A on behalf of the Airport Authority and item D on behalf of the City Council are related. Existing litigation, as mentioned, the case name is ComAv versus the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority in the City of Victorville, and the case number is set forth on the agenda. Item B on behalf of the Airport Authority and item E on behalf of the City Council are also related litigation. Again, the same parties, ComAv versus SCLAA and the City of Victorville. And again, the case number is set forth on the agenda. Item C is existing litigation, again pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 D1. This is the Airport Authority versus ComAv Technical Services LLC et al. And again, the case number is set forth on the agenda, and that is a City Council item. The last item is item F on behalf, sorry, I misspoke. Item C is on behalf of the Airport Authority. Item F is a City Council item. It is real property negotiations pursuant to Government Code 54956.8. The property location is set forth on the agenda. The city negotiator is Sophie Smith, and the negotiating parties are members of the Auto Center. To the extent there is reportable action, we will report it at the conclusion of the closed session or at the commencement of the 6 o'clock meeting.
Thank you. At this time, we will recess to our closed session, and our regular meeting convenes at 6 p.m. It is now 6:02, and I call to order the meeting of the City Council of the City of Victorville. And the City Council sitting is the Library Board of Trustees, Southern California Logistics Rail Authority, Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, successor agency to the Victorville Redevelopment Agency, the Victorville Joint Powers Financing Authority, the Victorville Water District, and the city as housing asset successor. May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Kennedy?
Here.
Councilmember McEachron?
Here.
Councilmember Negretti is absent from tonight's meeting. Mayor Pro Tem Cox?
Here.
Mayor Garcia?
Here. May we have closed session announcements by our city attorney, please?
Thank you, Mayor Garcia. We had 6 items on the agenda this evening, 5 of which were existing or pending litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9 D1. Items A, B, and C were all litigation involving the Airport Authority, and those are on behalf of the Airport Authority. The case names and case numbers are set forth on the agenda. Items D and E were litigation on behalf of the City Council, and again, the case names and parties and case numbers are set forth on the agenda. Item F was real property negotiations pursuant to Government Code 8, and the property location and negotiating parties were set forth on the agenda. There is no reportable action with respect to any of those items this evening.
Thank you. Now we will have our invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation will be delivered by Pastor Dane Davis of First Christian Church. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Police Chief Sam Lucia, who I would like to say for all of us as City Council people here, we love him, we respect him, and we appreciate him very highly. The same is true for all police officers, and I just pray that things get better.
Thank you, Mayor Garcia. We have a verse for tonight, Micah 6:8. He has shown you what is good and what the Lord requires of you, but to love mercy, to act justly, and to walk humbly with your God. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much that you are the God of justice, the Father of all justice, and we thank you, O God, that you give us these great laws in this land, the greatest nation on earth, O God, with these laws founded upon your laws in Scripture. I pray, O God, that you would be with each of our city leaders here in Victorville as they make decisions tonight. We pray, O God, that they would act justly. Lord, that in decisions that may require mercy or harshness, that they would act with mercy. And in all things, O God, that we would not allow our heads to be too big to walk through the doorway, but, Lord, to walk humbly with you. We thank you, Lord, for these leaders you blessed our city with. We lift them up to you and pray for your wisdom and guidance and direction as they have their proceedings and make their decisions tonight. And it's in Christ's name I pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and
This evening we have one presentation from Caltrans, and the presentation will be given by John Belinsky, District 8 Director, and Lynch Allen, Area Supervisor.
Okay, good evening. So, first of all, I want to thank you for giving me a few moments of your time to talk about a highway, the Palmdale Road. So, as most of you know, we call that Route 18 also. Most of you may be aware that the Palmdale Road is scheduled for a pavement repair project, and the original construction date of that project was in 2014, so 2 years ago, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen for a number of reasons, and I'll mention those here in a minute. But in preparation of that, our maintenance crews went out because there were some immediate needs that need to be taken care of, primarily the surface of the roadway, and they ground the AC surface. So I believe that was in 2014. So it's been a couple of years that it's been in that condition. Unfortunately, the pavement project was delayed for a number of reasons. One, funding. Two, some additional requirements that were added to the project. That paving project, I am happy to say, is now scheduled for the summer of 2017, and we plan to stick to that. But that's not really why I'm here today. What I want to do is talk about some people. First of all, people in this room that responded, or that actually brought the condition of that roadway to my attention. Thank you, Ryan. People at Caltrans that responded to your request to take immediate action to solve a problem. That solution consisted of placing a slurry seal over the Palmdale Road in the area that was ground. People at the city and at Caltrans who worked together to notify the local citizens and the businesses that were impacted by the project, and schedule the work to have the minimum amount of impact. And finally, those business owners and the citizens who understood why we were replacing that slurry seal and cooperated throughout the duration of the activity, the slurry seal construction. So, we talk a lot about partnerships when we conduct business. And I think this is a shining example of partnership where we work together toward a common goal. So I want to recognize, number one, the Caltrans employees, are two of them that are here today. If you guys could stand up. I'm not going to mention names because I have a whole list of names and I'll probably get them wrong. As well as city staff. So if the city staff that were involved in this project can all stand up. And that's just a small number of the folks that were involved from the city. So with that said, I want to present a certificate of appreciation to the City of Victorville Public Works Department. And I believe Doug Matthews, are you here still? If you can come on up. And this is for your contributions in making this a successful project. And more importantly, setting the stage for the next project that comes and then those that follow. Because I think we've set the stage for how we work together, and this is one great example. So thank you very much. Thank you.
John, if you could just stay up here for a second. I appreciate you recognizing me, but I know for a fact that everybody up here on the dais was aware of the condition of the road. I think many of my fellow council members had brought this to city staff's attention. I think what's important is what you did in responding to the request. Obviously, you could have just waited and you could have said, you know what, I'm sorry, Ryan, it's not going to happen until 2017. But when you actually had your staff out on the ground looking at the condition of the pavement, you understood our problem, and you reacted and you took care of it. And hats off to you, an amazing job. I know obviously we're going to go through rebuilding that road next year, and we're happy to see that happen. But what you've been able to do in the interim to kind of ease the pain, so to speak, over the next year is hugely important. So again, on behalf of all my colleagues up here, city staff and the residents of Victorville, we're greatly appreciative.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Definitely, thank you very much.
And just since I have you here,
no hard
I've
questions,
question. We had that
Good news
fire
story.
right there at the Palmdale interchange, and is there any idea, or can you get back to us on plans on what you can do to repair the landscaping
So,
in that particular
okay,
area?
so what the plan is at this point is we will let an emergency contract, to clean up the interchange and repair some of the irrigation. And then we'll do a follow-up contract to come back in and do the landscaping. That'll probably be another year or two out. But the cleanup will take place immediately. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, before you get into the actual agenda, I do have a brief announcement to make. Unfortunately, the folks that need to hear this aren't going to hear it, but the system that we use to broadcast our meetings and also record them for people to watch it at their leisure is recording, so everything we're saying is being recorded, but unfortunately it's not streaming live right now. So if anyone is attempting to do that, they'll have to watch it at some point after this meeting. Unfortunately, they can't hear this announcement, but hopefully when they finally get the chance, it is something we're aware of, and it will be available. It typically takes anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes for a meeting to be available once it concludes.
Very well. May we have our city clerk present the agenda to the council and any revisions or additions to the agenda?
Mayor Garcia. Persons who wish to address the council on a specific item or any item that does not appear on the agenda are requested to complete one of the white speaker cards located in the council chambers lobby and give it to the city clerk prior to the meeting. The mayor will call upon each individual who has submitted a speaker card. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.3, state law prohibits the council from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. The council may receive testimony and set the matter to a subsequent meeting. Comments are to be limited to 3 minutes per speaker or less, as deemed necessary by the mayor. Communications are to be addressed directly to the city council. Individual comments to staff or members of the audience are not permitted. Any individual or group who engages in disruptive conduct during the meeting will be removed from the chambers by order of the mayor. All documents to be considered for approval at this meeting are before the council. There is one revision to tonight's agenda that has been provided to the city council and the public, and that is a request from the staff to remove item number D3, and with possibly being agendized at a future date. And those are all the revisions, Mayor Garcia.
Thank you. We do not have any appeal hearings this evening, so we will move on to public hearings. I don't have any cards at this time. This is a public hearing to hear arguments for and against confirming the annual assessments for landscape maintenance, assessment, district LMAD, drainage facilities assessment district DFAD, and maintenance assessment districts MAD. I opened the public hearing, and I already stated that I do not have any cards. Is there anyone else, or is there anyone here that would like to come up and speak? I don't believe that it's for this item. It's for item E1. So I close the public hearing at this time. Do we have any questions or comments by council members?
Madam Mayor, as I understand it from the staff, this holds the assessment levels at prior year levels, so there's no increase?
With respect to LMADs 1 through 4, that's certainly the case. Items 5 through 8 are recommended with CPI increases, as those LMADs were formed to allow for that, to keep ahead of costs.
5 through 8, cost of living only? What is the difference between?
DFADs, I believe, are, and off the top of my head, I believe they're all allowing for CPI with the exception of LMADs 1 through 4. Doug Matthews, is that correct?
Get a nod from the engineer.
Yeah, okay, that is correct. 1 through 4, LMADs, no CPI. Everything else, yes, to CPI. And the CPIs are adjusted largely to address the increase in the water costs.
We've got 12 different resolutions here, all dealing with LMADs. Can we?
Since they are all on the same agenda item, yes, and the public hearing was held for all items together, you could do one motion for all items.
Ready for a motion?
Should I have our clerk read the recommendation first before we take action?
The recommendation would be to approve the engineer's reports for all of the assessment districts in item B1 and the adoption of the resolutions 16026 through 16-038.
Public hearing closed.
Yes, I had already
I'll move
closed it.
approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, second by Mr. McEachern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed. Motion carries with Mr. Negretti absent.
Now we move on to item B2, a public hearing to hear arguments for and against confirming the annual assessments and approval of the engineer's report for the citywide street lighting assessment district. I open the public hearing, and I do not have any cards at this time. Is there anyone that would like to come up and speak? I don't see anyone, so I close the public hearing. Do we have any questions or comments from council members?
Madam Mayor, at the last meeting, I asked for additional staff information or explanation in regard to the issues. Because of the administrative cost, I have met with here. We've gone through that. I believe this is simply a matter of where to put the dollars, but it's been straightened out. And hopefully this year we will add some street lights in areas where we have no where lights are missing and we do not have construction. The question was, since this is basically to pay servicing, does it include capital? Can we use it for capital? I think we can, but I think it's limited. Staff is going to get back to the council with that. And assuming that sufficient funds are there and that we end up with surplus funds at the end of the 2016 fiscal year, I have suggested that they establish appropriate reserve accounts. Are in great shape, and we might even have a reduction next year, depending upon between now and June 30 of next year. On that basis, no other questions from council members.
The only question I had was, you had raised some concerns about how costs are being allocated. Are you now, you've spent some time digging into that. Are you satisfied with how it's being done?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'll second the motion.
Motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Kennedy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed. Motion carries with Mr. Negretti absent.
I move on to item B3, a public hearing to hear arguments for and against establishing and adopting the annual budget for the citywide street lighting assessment district for fiscal year 2016-2017. And I open the public hearing at this time. I do not have any cards for anyone that's requesting to speak. Therefore, I close the public hearing. Any questions, comments by council members?
Madam Mayor, I'll move for adoption of the budget.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McEachron, second by Mr. Cox. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed. Motion carries with Mr. Negretti absent.
Item B4, a public hearing to hear arguments for and against finding and declaring that a public convenience and necessity justify and require the granting of a certificate of public convenience and necessity to High Desert Non-Emergency Transportation, LLC. I open the public hearing. I don't have any cards at this time. Is there anyone that would like to come up and speak? I don't see anyone. I close the public hearing. Questions, comments by council members?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, second by Mr. McEachron. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed. Motion carries with Mr. Negretti absent.
Item B5, a public hearing to hear arguments for and against amending city charter by removing provisions restricting the method of election of city council members. This is our second public hearing. I open the public hearing at this time. And I do not have any cards. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come up and speak? I don't see anyone. So do we have any questions or comments by council members?
You know, it's unfortunate. I mean, I guess people don't read our agendas. They don't know what we're dealing with. This issue wasn't advertised. I don't think there's a soul on this council who's in favor of this. I think it's the worst decision that's ever been made in the state of California to do district voting. I think one of the great, wonderful features of our election system in Victorville is that we all are elected at large. We got to get People are from around the city, the entire city, not just my neighborhood. The whole city has to elect us. If you want to look at some really cities in some really bad shape, look at the ones that operate under ward systems. It's just a terrible system. People are focused on their neighborhood, and what the people around me want, and if that's different from what the people in Brentwood want, well, too bad. I'm just looking out for my people. This is a terrible move, and we have no choice. We have no choice. The courts have backed this. It was a legislative decision. The courts are backing it. We got no choice. We got to go to a ward system, and I think the city will suffer for it. Said my piece.
Well, I wasn't here at the first reading, so I'm going to my comments tonight. But I would echo everything you said. What's even more frustrating is that even when the voters say they don't want it, the courts overrule them. They say we don't care what the voters want. Talking about, we know what's best for the people of your city. Fortunately, that's probably what Victorville will ultimately be faced with. But yeah, I'm in complete agreement with Councilmember Kennedy. This is being forced down our throats. It's unfortunate because it's not really necessary. We have had an open, transparent election process since the inception of this city. People from all races and creeds have run for this council and have been elected. And unfortunately, the state of California feels differently, and so we have to look to comply with law or pay tens of millions of dollars likely to fight it, and we're not going to spend your taxpayer money that way. So as reluctant as I am to be supportive of this, I will vote for it tonight. But I suspect that our voters are going to say no to it in November, and then we're still going to be forced to do it by the courts.
Yeah, we're not literally approving it. We're approving
just putting it on the
changes
ballot.
that'll put it on the ballot.
Yeah, and I will have our clerk read the recommendations so we can actually understand the items that we have here.
Recommendation would be to direct the city clerk and the city attorney to prepare resolutions necessary to place the charter amendment measure on the November ballot and to hold a special meeting on August 9th to consider adoption of such resolutions.
Thank you. But we don't take any.
A motion on that issue would be helpful, just to get that direction.
I'll make the motion because we have no choice. It's state law. But on the other hand, covered everything I wanted to say, and thank you. Horrible.
I'll reluctantly second your motion.
Horrible for the voters.
Motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. McEachran. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed. Motion carries with Mr. Negretti absent.
Now we move on to consent calendar. Consent calendar items C1 through C9 can be approved with one motion unless there is an item that needs to be pulled for discussion.
I'll move consent.
Second?
Motion by Mr. McEachran, second by Mr. Kennedy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed. Motion carries with Mr. Negretti absent.
And now we move on to written communications. D1, award of contract to International Line Builders, Inc. in the amount of $409,543 for the Bemis Electrical Substation Improvement Project at SCLA. Madam Clerk, please read the recommendation.
Recommendation is that the City Council appropriate an additional $410,547 from VMOOS Electric Fund 420 and award a contract to International Line Builders, Inc. in the amount of $409,542.33 for the VMOOS Electrical Substation Improvement Project at SCLA.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, second by Mr. Cox. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed. Motion carries with Mr. Negretti absent.
Item D2, request to approve energy facility compliance fees for the Victorville 2 hybrid power project. Madam Clerk, please read the recommendation.
Recommendation is that the City Council approve payment of the annual energy facility compliance fees to the California Energy Commission for the Victorville 2 hybrid power project in an amount totaling $27,404 for fiscal year 2016-17.
Madam Mayor, just for some clarification, so people understand this, Victorville Power Project 2, the hybrid project, is not a project that is built. It's not a project we intend to build, but it has been permitted. And every year, Doug?
Correct.
Every year we're required to pay these fees to the state of California to maintain the permit.
In that permit, yes. Yes, it's our desire to find a partner to come in and purchase the development rights and the land for the building of that power plant at some point in the future. The clock is running. We have, I believe, until 2018 to get that done. And although there's not a market for that plant right now, paying $27,000 to maintain that opportunity is advisable. Just rather than throwing away the time and effort that was spent on obtaining that.
And our investment in the land and all the work that we've done on this, about $25 million, am I right?
I think it's a little over that.
A little over 20. So we're spending the $27,000 to maintain the value and the saleability of that asset.
Correct.
Have a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, second by Mr. McEachran. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed. Motion carries with Mr. Negretti absent.
Item D3, repair services to La Mesa Ion Exchange IX treatment plant.
Mayor Garcia, excuse me, this is the item that the staff has requested
that's
be
the one
removed.
that,
Yes.
It was removed. You are correct. We move on to D4, award of contract to Arizona Pipeline Company in the amount of $125,062 for the Southern California Logistics Airport SCLA, Victorville Municipal Utility Services VMUS, Natural Gas Improvement Project at SCLA. Madam Clerk, please read the recommendation.
Recommendation is that the City Council approve an additional appropriation of $7,877.50 from VMUS Gas Fund 419 and award a contract to Arizona Pipeline Company in the amount of $125,062 for the VMUS Natural Gas Improvement Project at SCLA.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McEachran, second by Mr. Cox. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed. Motion carries with Mr. Negretti absent.
Item D5, presentation of request to approve award to Atlas Copco for the rebuild/overhaul of the CNG station compressor. Madam Clerk, please read the recommendation.
Recommendation is that the City Council approve the award to Atlas Copco for the rebuild overhaul of the CNG station compressor in the amount of $56,518.60 as budgeted for in the fiscal year 2016-2017 capital improvement project budget.
Move approval. Second.
Motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Kennedy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed. Motion carries with Mr. Negretti absent.
Item D6, award of contract of block walls in DFAD number 1, project number ES 16-044. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
Recommendation is that the City Council approve an additional appropriation request in the amount of $176,860.86 from Fund 370, the Drainage Facility Assessment District Number 1 Fund, and the award of a construction contract to TSR Construction and Inspection in the not-to-exceed amount of $160,700 $782.60 for the construction of block walls in the city's drainage facilities with DFAD number 1.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McEachran, second by Mr. Cox. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed. Motion carries with Mr. Negretti absent.
Item D7, 2016-2017 Mojave Water Agency Strategic Partnership Grant. Madam Clerk, read the recommendation.
Recommendation is that the City Council accept the grant funds, approve an additional appropriation in the amount of $23,000, authorize project number 70658, ET Water Clock Installation for Landscape Maintenance Assessment District numbers 1 and 3, and authorize the city manager or his designee to process all documents required for program administration and sign and return grant guideline letter to MWA on or before July 28, 2016.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kennedy, second by Mr. McEachran. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed. Motion carries with Mr. Negretti absent.
And now we have public comments. And I do have several cards. The first one is El Cotillo.
I come down here tonight just to figure out why there are nobody doing anything about mosquitoes up here. There are several people in this country that already have that disease from Rio, and the golf courses are homes for mosquitoes because there's holes all over the golf course. From when they work in, they dig out with their tires, they make a place. That's a home for mosquitoes. 2 good breeding mosquitoes in a few weeks can breed thousands of mosquitoes. I worked in the mosquito control in Massachusetts when I was a kid. And we had a big truck with a big gun that shot way up in the air. You guys have a little pickup truck with a little bit of smoke that comes up about this high. I don't even know how that does any good. They're up in the trees, they're down in the bushes in the daytime. And at night they come out and the female gets her blood because she's pregnant and she needs your protein to her so she can have 1,000 more mosquitoes. And I don't understand. It's beyond me why this city isn't doing anything about it. Once you got them, you don't get rid of them. Believe me. And also that concert that they had over here, I thought was a great success. I think whoever put it on did one hell of a good job. The police did a great job. There's only one person that didn't do a good job, and that's the person who tried to get it canceled at the last minute. Because those people spent a lot of money in the city, and those people that put the concert on, you have no idea how much work it is to put a concert on like that. And every band that was in that concert, they had to pay them 50% before they even got in a bus or a train or whatever to get here. So the city probably would have been sued, and it's thank God the city didn't have any power over that because they would have screwed everything up. And that other thing is the most important thing to me is the mosquitoes, man. I'm telling you, I live on a golf course. I don't want to be eaten alive. You get mosquitoes out there, you might as well close the golf course down because there won't be nobody out there golfing. And I just want to see that bridge you're going to build, it's going to come onto Hesperia Road, and Nisqually is going to be one of the worst
You have
things
30 seconds.
ever done in this city. You're going to be sorry you did it. I was on Bear Valley Road today, and all that traffic that was there is going to be on Hesperia Road in Nisqually.
Thank you. Next person is Terrence Hobbs. And after Terrence, it will be Clayton Moore.
Can you bring the microphone down?
My name is Terrence Hobbs, and I reside as a member of Victorville Ranch, and I have a problem. A few years ago, I was stricken with a terminally ill disease, of which for the last 6 years, I've been in and out of the hospital majorly. I got a letter from Animal Control in reference to my animals. I have 2 little Shih Tzus, and without them, I would probably be dead today. Why should you worry, shall I say? Well, you should, because I'm important to the city of Victorville and to all of you, because I'm a human being. I'm here because they want to charge me an excessive amount of money to register 2 little Shih Tzus, $600 a piece. I only get $604 a month to live off of. How can I do that? Animal Control asked me to come to you tonight, which I've been chasing you all down for a couple of weeks because of the wrong information that they gave me for the time. When I got here, everybody was gone. So I refused to let you all be gone today. So I decided to show up to see if we can do something about these fees. I have also been informed that if the city council won't do anything, they're going to take my dogs away. My dogs are indoor dogs. Even when I couldn't afford to get them to go to the vet, there was somebody there that took them, but they didn't feel it was their responsibility to get them licensed. Not that I even know if they were aware of that. I'm here to see if we can get something done about this bill that I've gotten from Animal Control. Thank you.
Mr. City Manager, is there someone that would actually, at a later time, contact
Yeah, we've
him?
got his information there on the card, I'm assuming, so we can definitely have the folks over Animal Control look into this. I'm not aware of any licensing fees that could ever get to $600, so I'm a
Did
little
I
bit
understand that
confused.
$600 for each dog?
That's what the gentleman said. I'm a little bit confused on, because that's got to be something other than license fees, but we'll certainly look into it and
Please.
get back to him on that.
Please.
Someone will get back to you on your problem. Clayton Moore?
Well, good evening. I'm Clayton Moore from the Victor Elementary School District. I'm one of the trustees there. And I read in some of my board notes recently that you folks approved a project, Safe Routes to School project, in partnership with the City of Adelanto. So I wanted to thank you for your progress on that and look forward to keeping that safe and secure access for our students. We're also going to be opening a new family resource center sometime this fall over in the Nisqually building over there. And another new school is going to be opening here in our fine city over at the 7th and Arrowhead area. It's going to be Galileo Academy, and there will be more announcements about that coming up too. But again, I wanted to thank you for your progress on the roads project. And we also approved our LCAP, which is the local control for how we spend our money at a school district. And we have that available in our district office for anybody who would like to see that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Barbara Powers?
Mayor and City Council, I just wanted to update you on the strategic planning. Some of you know, but some of you don't. We're having a trash cleanup for Old Town on the 23rd. That's this Saturday, and it starts at 7 a.m. in the morning till noon. And they will have a lunch afterwards too, though. So anyway, the girls have really been out there to individual homes all over Old Town. and they've asked people to put their stuff out, and there's trucks coming to collect, and we thank the city for having the big trash cans up by the high school, and we appreciate the coordination there. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all the cards that I have. Do we have any reports from council members?
Are you not going to let me speak tonight, ma'am?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't ask.
That's okay. That's okay. I actually have several exciting things to announce. One is this Saturday is our free dump and disposal day from 8 to noon at Victor Valley High School, which our speaker also alluded to. And then on Tuesday, August 2nd, normally we would have a council meeting that night. It's actually National Night Out, hosted by our police department here at the Civic Center. And I'm actually recommending that we cancel our normal city council meeting for that night for two reasons. One is so that the council can all attend National Night Out if they're in town, but also because the council directed staff to have a special meeting to consider the final reading or the final step of that charter change, and that's going to be on August 9th as it is. So the recommendation I would make to you is that you give us a nod, I guess, tonight to cancel the meeting on the 2nd, and instead we will schedule everything for the meeting on the 9th, which we already have to have. I see somewhat affirmative faces, so I'm going to assume that that's okay with everybody. My guess, although we have not, and I'm not recommending to cancel it at this time, but my guess is if we have a meeting on the 9th, we are likely to not need a meeting on the 16th, which would normally be our second meeting of the month. So we'll kind of stay tuned to that as we get a little bit closer. We may end up having a few items we don't quite know yet, but there's some likelihood that that meeting might be canceled since we will have a meeting on the 9th anyway. So because of that, I wanted to announce also a Shred Fest at the Victorville MRF, the Material Recovery Facility on the north end of town. You can bring your documents to be shredded on Saturday, August 6th. That is coming up before our next meeting now. And then finally, and I don't want to steal any announcements or thunder from any council members who may also want to comment, but as someone I knew and knew fairly well, I do want to mention the loss of Sharon Runner, who was a great state senator for Victorville, former assemblywoman. She was very supportive of Victorville in all cities. She was simply a good person, and we all mourn her loss, I'm sure. And our thoughts and prayers are with George and the rest of the family.
Yeah, just briefly. My wife and I just got back from a trip to Europe. Most of it was started and finished in Copenhagen. Copenhagen has the most amazing bicycle program that I've ever seen. I mean, there are literally thousands and thousands of bicycles on those streets. They've dedicated lanes for them. They've probably reduced their traffic by 50%. Other people flying to work on bicycles. It's just, you come to bicycle parking lots where there are literally thousands of bicycles parked. It's just amazing. I've never seen anything like it. Be great if our little bicycle project that we have coming approaches that. But I'll tell you, if you want to see how it works, and works really well, go to Copenhagen. It's quite an experience.
Couple comments. I just want to compliment staff and our contractor that we have at Green Tree Golf Course. I've never seen that course in better shape. Driving up and down Green Tree these days, it's just a sight to see. The grass is green. They're taking care of it. They've removed several areas that are not necessarily in play to deal with drought tolerance issues, and I think that is a success story that ought to be told more. I think we're starting to see the number of people playing the golf course come back into the community and play and stay in our hotels. And at some point in the future, I think it would be good to have that story told to the council and to the public. But my hat's off to folks that are not only running the golf course but the restaurant facility over there. they're just doing a great job. Second thing I wanted to bring up is that I'd like the council to consider at our next meeting some sort of political sign ordinance. As you drive around the city, you see political signs still up from the June primary. People running for supervisor to members of Congress, and I think it's just irresponsible that they have not taken them down to this point, and I'm kind of sick and tired of it. I think there ought to be a time limit before an election where you can put up political signs, and a time limit after the election in which they have to come down. I know that there's some legal issues that have to be addressed, and our city attorney, I'm sure, will address those. But we try to keep this city as clean as possible, and that's one of those things that can help do that. And so I'd like to see us to have that come back to us at the most immediate meeting that it can, because obviously I'd like to see it in place before the election. The signs can go up here, or at least before the election's over in November, so that they have to come down within a certain time frame after the election. And then finally, just to echo our city manager's comments on Senator Runner, that was a huge loss to the Victor Valley. She served us well. And Madam Mayor, if I might suggest, I would think it would be appropriate for us to adjourn the meeting in her.
Adjourn the meeting, remember?
We have a moment of silence, or I shall pray. Thank you so much. There's nothing else before the council, so this meeting is adjourned.